Kinds of sovereignty. So let's start with this kinds of sovereignty. First one is nominal sovereignty. Nominal sovereignty is also known as titular sovereignty. Nominal sovereignty implies the possession of sovereignty power only in the name. That means the power is always there in the name. The freedom of power is there in the name. The Queen in Britain, this is a name. The Emperor of Japan, the President of India, etc. are some of the example of nominal sovereignty. That means it is following the name. Let's understand the second point, that is real sovereignty. The real sovereignty actually possesses the sovereign power. That means it is having the real sovereign power. He is the one who is having the power. He discharges the such authority on behalf of the nominal sovereign head. That means on behalf of the Emperor of Japan, Queen of England, President of India, he is the one who discharges the power on the behalf of the nominal power. Okay, so according to nominal sovereign person exercises his power only on advice of the real sovereign persons or the body of the person. The Prime Minister of England, the Prime Minister of India, the Prime Minister of Japan are the basic examples for their nominal sovereign powers to real sovereign power, are some of the best examples of kinds of sovereignty. In simple words, if you want to understand, nominal means there is a name that is attached. The real power is given to his subordinate. That means the Queen of England is a nominal sovereignty which gives the real power, the real sovereignty to the Prime Minister of England. President of India is a nominal sovereignty which gives the powers of its application to the President, to the Prime Minister of India, that is Narendra Modi. So this is about real sovereignty. Let's understand about the third one, that is legal sovereignty. Legal sovereignty denotes the supremacy in terms of formal laws. That means there will be supremacy, the main law that is there. Only the legal sovereign is competent to issue the highest orders. That means the legal sovereign who is having the legal power of it, he is only can make the laws. It transcends even the divine law or the normal laws of public opinion. That means any kind of public opinion laws or any kind of change that should be done to the public opinion or normal laws, it should be done by the legal head of the sovereignty, who is the legal sovereign person. The court of law recognizes only the legal sovereign and accepts its order. That means the court of law always accepts the power of the legal sovereign person. The best example of legal sovereign person is the King of Parliament in England. That means who is the King of Parliament in England. And the legal sovereignty is also defined as deliberate or deceive or precisely known to the President of India in example of legal sovereignty. That means with respect to legal sovereignty, the main power in Indian economy is given to the President of India. Let's understand the fourth point, that is political sovereignty. Behind the legal sovereignty, there is a politics, there is a political sovereignty. That means to get a legal sovereignty, we need to have political sovereignty. In a democratic state, while the legal sovereign is supreme law making power, there is behind another sovereign who will be the ultimate final source of authority. That means the legal sovereign power is achieved by the political sovereignty only. When we have political freedom, which is making the highest authority person, the President or the King of Parliament in England, is just because there is political sovereignty. Gardner observes behind the legal sovereign power, however, is another power that is legally unknown, unorganized, or incapable of expressing the will of the state in form of legal command. Yet with the power to those mandates, the legal sovereign will practice bow and whose will be must ultimately prevails in the state. That means this is a unorganized or unknown or incapable expressing power that is there, from which the legal sovereignty comes into birth, and that power is always the political sovereignty. Let's understand the fifth point, that is popular sovereignty. The concept of popular sovereignty is different from that of political sovereignty. It means sovereignty ultimately resides in the people. That means the popular sovereignty is always the power resides in the hands of people. The doctrine of popular sovereignty is the product of 16th and 17th century. That is, it has come from 16th and 17th century. During the time the Rajas, Maharajas were taken away with democratic government, and that's the time when people understood that their sovereignty is the most important form of sovereignty. It emerged as an expression of resentment of people against despotic authorities of the king and the reliance of the theory of divine rights. That means they will be despotic, or they won't like the rules and regulations made by the king, and they'll go for their own divine self right. That is the popular sovereignty. Popular sovereignty attributes ultimate sovereignty to the people. This fact theory, first hinted by the John Locke, was later expounded by Rousseau, and it became the slogan of French Revolution. This popular sovereignty, the sovereignty of the people, became the main motto of Rousseau's French Revolution. Let's understand the sixth kind of sovereignty, that is de jure sovereignty. De jure sovereignty, it terms de jure means it's a Latin term that denotes authority exercised according to law. That means the legal aspect of the law, from where we get the legal rule of the law. De jure sovereignty is the power possessed and exercised by a legally competent authority. That means a person who is having the legal competency of one authority is the person who will have legal sovereignty. It issues the order or enjoys the command over all person, institution and organization in the state. That means it's a power that is given legally to one person who has the power to command over all persons, institution and the organization. Generally, it is the Queen in Britain and President in India are some of the examples of de jure sovereignty. De jure sovereignty means their legal position gives them power to issue this authority. Let's understand the seventh point, that is de facto sovereignty. De facto is a French term which implies real. That means who is having the real power. De facto sovereignty is the person or the body of persons who exercise such authority in last resort or the final stage. That means at the last, these are the people who are having the power in the final stage. De facto sovereign may not be legal sovereign. That means it is totally opposite of the de jure one. De jure is always legal, but de facto means they are not legally the sovereign, but his authority is based on law but not physical force. De facto sovereign may be a king, dictator or a religious priest. So these people have the de facto sovereign right. So de jure and de facto means only one thing. De jure meant there is a right, there is right to freedom that is given by a legal position who is having in the higher level. That person is de jure, and de facto is he is not having legal position, but he is the person who has the final power in the last stage. That person might be king, dictator or religious priest. So this was about the different kinds of sovereignty that's there in a state or in an economy. Thank you.